Hi, my name is Tracy and welcome to this week's video where I'll be focusing on the wrist, specifically strengthening, flexibility, and some technique to keep in mind whenever we get into our poses that uses the hands to hold the body's weight. So I'm going to start with the fingers and moving into the palm of the hand. When we are putting our weight onto the hands, we want to make sure that the hands are active, the muscles are working. If the hands are flaccid and we just lift our weight up, we're going to be driving all of that pressure into the heel of the hand and create tension in the wrist joint, which we don't want to do. So one of the things to make sure that we're keeping the hands active is using some techniques to exercise. So if you have a stress ball, that works. I actually have just a rolled up washcloth, something that can create a large item to squeeze around to really create this full dimensional use of the muscles of the hand. Now, if you don't have something like this to hold on to, you can simply create nice tight fists. Notice the difference in the way that the muscles in the hands and forearms work when you're holding on to something or when you're just making the fist. If you are making the fist, throw those hands open and activate a little bit of a stretch into the hands as well. So moving into the forearms, so on the other side of the wrist, we want to make sure that they are working as well. So if you pull your hands back, give a nice stretch. Notice that you'll feel this stretching sensation down the inside of the forearm. When we are doing our poses where we're putting weight, we want to feel some of that same activation, not so much the stretching, but those are the muscles that we really want to feel working. So in order to strengthen those, I usually suggest some weights and simple exercises. We don't need to go too heavy on the weights. I have a 2-pound here. I like to lay my forearm flat, parallel to the floor, and let the fingers hang down. So when I'm pulling it up, I'm working the inside. Turn the hand over, pull it up, working the back of the forearm. And you can even go side to side. I also have a 5-pound weight, so just depending on what your goals are. But keeping the forearm anchored is really going to isolate the muscles that we're working on. Stretching is another important thing. So some of the exercises you can do, we can do from this tabletop pose. So this is our basis, our foundational pose for cat-cow, several poses that we do in yoga. And we can use this to just start feeling the stretching in all different directions. Bringing the chest past and back, so you're keeping the hands activated and allowing the stretch to happen in the wrists and up the forearms. I suggest turning the hands so that you get 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. Going in circles, forwards and back, side to side. So when we're stretching here, we can actually lock out the arms to help get deep into those muscles. Nice deep stretch. But remembering when we're doing this, I'm not putting a lot of body weight onto the heel of my hand. I'm going for a stretching sensation that's pleasant, maybe a little challenging. We also want to make sure we go in the other direction. This one is a little more important to make sure that the weight stays off as much as possible and we're just working into the stretch. So this is going to get up on that back side of the forearm, forwards and backwards, side to side, even turning the fingers around the clock. So now we have some nice flexibility. We've worked on the strength. I want to address if you already have tension, injury, or issues with the wrist. So anytime we get up into, say, downward dog, we're going to work with just tabletop and downward dog today. There are a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, where are you putting the pressure on the hand? So we want to be pressing into the base of that pointer finger, the base of the pinky finger, and down here at the base of the thumb. Those are our three main pieces or parts of the hand that we're really pressing in. Secondarily, the fingers are stretching out and those fingertips are gripping. So if you come into your tabletop and you activate those three main spots and then grip with the fingertips secondarily, you'll notice that you're activating those muscles in the forearms that I mentioned earlier. If you're feeling tension in the wrists, you can lift up the heel of the hand. So I have a strap here. Being able to just lift the heel of the hand allows the weight to shift a little bit towards the fingers, which is what we're looking for. But we're still going to be driving in those pressure points. Another thing you could do, fold your mat up. I even have a blanket here, and you can adjust it to the height that feels the best for you. And again, just begin to start shifting weight forward and feeling that grip. Moving in to some other techniques. We're going to place our hands below the shoulders, knees, beneath the hips in our tabletop pose. I would like for you to actually lock out the elbows here. So we're not going to put a lot of weight into the hands, but I want to just show a difference here. So if you lock out the elbows, see how your hands can really take on pushing in those 3 points, and then unlock and feel how the hands get the chance to really grip. Relock the elbows again and see if you can move the shoulders. How much flexibility and movement do you have in the shoulders? Now, micro bend in the elbows. Feel those fingertips and the base of those fingers pressing in. Feel the shoulders really having some mobility here now. So this is some of the things that we want to remember. The points that are pressing in, micro bend in the elbow, and that's going to allow for that shoulder movement because we want to pull the shoulders away from the ears as we lift up into our downward dog, and we feel all of those joints lining up and the muscle activation keeping all of the joints safe. So some ways that you can do it after you have done some of the prep strengthening exercises is to use some of our yoga poses. So tabletop pose, feeling the hands ground in, soft micro bend, and the nice pulling away shoulders from the ears, shifting the weight forward to a knee plank, and seeing if you can keep the hand activation and back. Same thing with your downward dog, pressing up. Feel everything lining up from the fingers all the way up to the base of the spine, shifting forward into a plank. Can you keep the activation in the hands and the supporting muscles? Whenever you're done working on a series of poses that challenges the wrists, Give the wrists some movement, some stretching, some love. Always give the body some love after doing your self-care, your practice. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to bringing you a new series next week. And I haven't decided what that is yet, so we will see.